OINP warning. Ontario now returning PR applications without review. Welcome back to Canada Chronicles. Today we're uncovering one of the most alarming changes in Canada's immigration system, a policy that could quietly derail your Ontario PR application before it even reaches the nomination stage. Ontario's immigration program, once known for predictable processing, now has the authority to return applications without review. That means even a complete and valid application with a legitimate job offer can now be sent back with a refund, but without a nomination. This isn't a small administrative tweak. It's a sign that Ontario is tightening control over who qualifies for permanent residence, aligning its selection process with current labor shortages, housing pressures, and integrity measures. Thousands of hopeful applicants who once thought approval was guaranteed may now face rejection before their file is even open. In this video, you'll learn exactly why Ontario made this change, who is most at risk, and what steps you can take to safeguard your application. Toward the end, we'll also expose a little-known feature buried in the new policy, what we call the hidden switch-off button when Ontario pulls the plug on your PR pathway. Stay tuned until the end to uncover what triggers this silent switch, how it could affect your immigration journey, and how to stay one step ahead. If you care about your future in Canada, make sure to subscribe to Canada Chronicles and turn on notifications so you never miss a critical update about your pathway to permanent residence. Let's get started. The big problem: why your PR application could now be returned. Ontario has always been the dream destination for many immigrants hoping to secure permanent residency. The Ontario Immigrant Nominee Program, or OINP, has served as one of the most popular routes for foreign nationals with job offers, skilled experience, or Canadian education. In the past, once you submitted a complete application, you could expect it to be reviewed and processed toward a nomination. But that assumption has changed. As of July 1, 2025, a regulatory amendment under Ontario Regulation 421/17 now gives the OINP the power to return applications with a full refund before nomination if certain conditions are met. This change means that even if you meet all the stated requirements, your application can still be pulled back and returned without ever being evaluated for nomination. The decision to return an application can be based on factors such as the province's available nomination spots, Ontario's labor market priorities, regional housing pressures, wage levels, or compliance issues involving the applicant or the employer. In short, the province now has much more discretion. Ontario can refuse to process applications that no longer align with its most urgent labor market needs. If your occupation is no longer in demand or your employer does not meet integrity standards, your file could be returned before any assessment takes place. This shift comes as Canada overall is tightening immigration numbers and refocusing on domestic workers and critical industries such as construction, healthcare, agriculture, and transportation. The new Federal Immigration, Refugees, and Citizenship Canada plan for 2025 to 2027 reduces total intake targets and concentrates on essential workers already in the country. That means the bar for provincial programs like the OINP is getting higher. Your application must clearly prove that you fit Ontario's current economic priorities. What exactly changed and why it matters? Let's look closer at what changed and how it affects applicants and employers. The updated Ontario Regulation 421/17 states that the director may return any application for which a decision has not been made, if the return is justified based on the province's nomination allocation, regional labor needs, housing capacity, or other economic factors. In practical terms, this means that even complete applications can be returned untouched if Ontario determines they don't meet current priorities. Applicants will be notified and the application fee refunded. At the same time, Ontario launched a new employer portal for all employer job offer streams, including foreign worker, international student, and in-demand skills, starting July 2, 2025. Employers must now register first and submit job offer details before foreign nationals can file their expression of interest. Older EOIs were withdrawn to make way for this new system, and the province may now conduct interviews with employers and applicants to verify authenticity. The purpose is clear: to strengthen program integrity, ensure genuine job offers, and reduce backlogs caused by low priority or incomplete files. Ontario's labor market has been shifting rapidly. The province faces worker shortages in construction, healthcare, trucking, and food processing, but also has surpluses in administrative and service roles. Combined with housing shortages and rising social costs, the province is trying to manage who settles where and in which industries. This change gives Ontario the flexibility to pause, adjust, or return applications faster than before. In other words, the province can now fine-tune immigration inflows in real time. Who is most at risk? So who should be most concerned about these new powers? Applicants in low-priority occupations such as clerical, retail, or hospitality roles where there is already a strong local labor supply. Applicants with questionable employers. For instance, businesses operating for less than 3 years or those failing to meet the required revenue and staffing thresholds. Applicants outside Ontario's target regions, especially in areas struggling with housing shortages. Applicants who registered under the old expression of interest system but were never invited before the July 2025 employer portal launch. Many of those older EOIs were automatically withdrawn. Applicants with weak documentation, such as missing wage verification, incomplete employer letters, or expired language results. The takeaway, even a single weakness in your file could now result in a return rather than a refusal. What this means for your strategy. This new power changes how you should prepare your OINP application. First, make sure your job offer directly aligns with Ontario's labor priorities. For example, the province continues to prioritize skilled trades, healthcare workers, long-haul truck drivers, agricultural technicians, and construction professionals. Second, ensure your employer meets all eligibility standards. The business must be legally operating in Ontario for at least 3 years, meet revenue and employee requirements, and offer a full-time permanent position that meets or exceeds median wage levels. Third, provide complete verifiable documentation. Include proof of employment history, wage statements, job duties, and employer legitimacy. Missing or vague information is one of the fastest routes to a return file. Fourth, monitor program updates frequently. Ontario can pause or reopen streams without notice. If your field suddenly falls out of demand, it's better to adjust your plan before applying. Finally, always have a plan B. Consider exploring other provincial nominee programs, such as those in Alberta, Saskatchewan, or British Columbia, or federal options like the Canadian Experience Class. Thanks for staying with us this far. We appreciate your time and hope you're finding this information valuable. Now let's talk about something that could make or break your application. The hidden switch-off button, when Ontario pulls the plug on your PR pathway. Behind every returned application is a quiet decision-making process. Ontario doesn't randomly send files back. Specific triggers cause it. One major trigger is the allocation of nomination spots. Each year, the federal government sets a limit on how many people Ontario can nominate. When the province approaches that limit, newer applications are more likely to be returned than processed. Another trigger is labor market alignment. If your job offer doesn't match an in-demand occupation, Ontario may decide not to proceed. For instance, a construction manager or registered nurse stands a much stronger chance than an office assistant or cashier. Regional housing capacity is also a surprising factor. If a community is already under housing strain, Ontario may reduce approvals for that area to manage settlement pressure. Program integrity concerns can also lead to returns. If an employer has a history of non-compliance or questionable employment practices, the entire batch of applications linked to that company could be returned. And finally, Ontario looks at whether you're already legally working in the province or have prior work or study experience here. Applicants already integrated into Ontario's economy are generally safer from returns than those applying from abroad. Picture this scenario. A foreign worker with a job offer submits a complete file. The application looks perfect. But Ontario checks the employer's compliance history, reviews regional housing data, and notes that nomination allocations are nearly full. Instead of waiting months for processing, the province simply returns the file with a refund, advising the applicant to reapply next year, effectively shutting down the opportunity for now. That's the switch-off button. The process is quiet, fast, and final. There's no appeal because the application was never technically refused. It was just returned. This new discretion gives Ontario greater control over who becomes a nominee, but it also makes timing and strategy more critical than ever. The solution: How to protect your application. To stay ahead, follow these key steps. 1. Choose strategically. Apply only when your occupation clearly aligns with Ontario's stated needs. Prioritize industries that rely heavily on foreign and permanent resident workers, such as construction, healthcare, agriculture, food processing, and long-haul trucking. 2. Verify your employer. Ensure they meet all requirements: years in operation, number of full-time employees, and valid business registration. Check that their offer meets wage and regional standards. 3. Prepare strong documentation. Provide consistent, verifiable proof of experience, education, wages, and legal status in Canada. The stronger the evidence, the safer your application. 4. Stay alert for policy updates. Ontario can change priorities quickly. Subscribe to official updates and adjust your strategy before applying. 5. Keep a backup plan. With this new return authority, having alternatives like other PNPS or express entry options is essential. 6. Seek expert guidance. Immigration consultants and lawyers can help ensure compliance and spot risk before you apply. Ontario's new power to return OINP applications is a major turning point. The province is no longer just processing paperwork. It's filtering for applicants who truly match its needs. That means only the most credible, well-aligned, and well-documented candidates will make it through. If there's one lesson here, it's simple. Don't rush your application. Make sure your job offer, employer, and paperwork match Ontario's current labor priorities before submitting. Acting strategically now could save you months or even years of delay. Policies in Canada can shift overnight, and one missing detail could cost you your chance at permanent residency. So stay informed, stay cautious, and stay prepared. If you found this breakdown helpful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss the latest Canada immigration updates. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.